Welcome to today's pods demo. Purpose today is just to give you a quick and dirty demonstration of how easy it is to set up a pods for the purpose of showing your customer how to take a sample. So without any further ado, we'll press on. Alright, the four main things you're going to need to consider for today's demonstration are going to be services, which is your power or battery, and your input air, whether it's going to be shop air or CO2. The supplies required are going to simply be sample bottles, basic sample bottle for pods, and also, something to clean up the mess, which you inevitably will make, as I do. Then the equipment required basically is going to be an ultrasonic bath for the purpose of degassing, and of course you're going to need some sample fluid, typically either just a clean fluid or a reference fluid, which is available by ordering. And then of course the setup of the instrument, which is very simple. We're going to walk through the basic steps required for that. The pods has a very unique history in that it's used all over the world with great success, from the Navy to customers, again, all over the world. But one of the beauties about this instrument is once you get it set up, it's a one-touch and you're good to go. So without any further ado, Dave, if you'll come on over and just kind of talk about, the input power is very simple. It's just going to be basically you're going to be connected. It's always better to be connected for the purpose of the demo to external power in case the battery's low. So that's always a good idea. Beyond that, the shop air, we want to have it set to a minimum of 60, but we'd always try to go to 100 psi because if we're running heavier viscosities, then it's more user-friendly that way. So if you don't have shop air available, of course, you're always welcome to use a CO2 canister, fully charged. It's a 4-ounce canister, and so once you get this thing charged up, if you're going to be out in a remote area, you're basically going to connect it underneath this area, and you screw it down tight, and you're good to go for about 50 samples with normal setup. Alright, so that is the services. For supplies, you're going to require sample bottles. These are the pod sample bottles. Partner VP 104-400. You can order them anytime you like. Of course, the paper towels, we talked about that. For the equipment, the ultrasonic bath, it doesn't have to be as fancy as this. It can be whatever you want, but the purpose is, after we agitate the sample, we're going to want to get the air out of the sample to make sure that we're not counting soft particles and influencing or degrading the accuracy of our particle count sample. So, without any further ado, let's talk a little bit about the setup. So if you go from the pod's main menu, maybe a little closer, Dave. There you go. So from the main menu, the setup is very simple. You're going to go to the F1 key. The four major parameters that you're going to set up for the purpose of a demo is going to be the mode, which is always going to be set to bottle. The standard, which for most intents and purposes will be set to ISO C. How you set it simply is you move the arrow by choosing the number which you want to change it to. So if I want to change the standard, I hit 3, which moves the arrow up. I hit program, which then flashes the option, and using the right and left arrow keys, I can cycle through the available standards. In this case, we're going to go ahead and go back to ISO C. And when you're done with your selection, to enable it, you push the F4 or the return key. Once that's saved, now if you want to go to the volume, I typically set it to 5 or 10 mils per run for the purpose of the demonstration, so you don't eat up all your fluid. The flow, we're going to set that to auto because the reference fluid we're going to be using is 5606, which has got about a viscosity range of about 18 to 21, typically around 20 centistokes. So it's very friendly. It'll run at 50 mils, no problem. So if you're in the auto mode, the instrument always selects the highest flow rate available that it can successfully regulate at, and that's going to be 50 mils per minute. Okay? And of course you want to turn your printer on. You hit the enable function. So simply you hit 6 to move the cursor down to 6. You press the F1, which gives you the option of enabling it or disabling it. And so we're going to set it back to enable. F4 saves that command, and we're basically all set up now. Configurations are set up, so now we're going to prepare a sample. So basically we'll pretend this is a customer sample. First thing we're going to do is we're going to agitate the sample. So for about 1 minute, if you hand shake it aggressively, and I'm not going to do a full minute, but basically we're going to agitate it. Then we're going to take a clean sample bottle. And this is kind of one of the keys that's very important. This has got to be clean. Take one of these, if you take some filtered air and just blow it out very carefully, and also the lid, and you just blow them out for 3 to 5 seconds with nice clean filtered air, that's going to be sufficiently clean for you to add in your sample. Okay, and again, we clean this out first. We're going to take this bad boy, we're going to suspend all the particles in there. You're going to fill the bottle up to about the shoulder, typically. That's a little bit more than normal, but you want to make sure you have enough room, volume, air volume left in there so you can sufficiently agitate the sample once it gets in here. So I'm just shaking this for a minute. I always open the lid slightly. I put it into the ultrasonic bath. You're going to degas it for somewhere between 25 and 35 seconds. Usually that's plenty sufficient unless it's a very viscous fluid, and then you want to go longer. So again, I'm not going to go the whole 25 to 35 seconds. I've gone about maybe 8 to 10. We'll pretend I've gone 35 seconds. I generally take a paper towel. I usually have it prepared in this, but simply something to wipe off the bottom of the bottle. You're going to drop that into your sample adapter. If you notice, there's a little bit of bubbles on the top, but all the bubbles are out of the sample. All right, then we're going to always put a hand on the bottom, lock it down. It's a quarter turn bayonet style. Lock it down. Once it's locked down into place, it's as simple as you push start, and the unit does the rest. I've got it set to 5 mils per, so it's always going to do a few milliliters of fluid to regulate it. It's going to do a 15 mil purge always, and then it's going to do 3 consecutive runs at either 5 mils, 10 mils, or 20 mils, whichever you have it set for. So right now we are on run 1, and now we are on run 2. Almost complete. When the sample is done, of course you get your results displayed on the screen, and you also have a nice representation in the ISO mode. You have ISO codes that represent the 4, 6, and 14 micron channel as indicated here, and you also have the cumulative count information, including all the demographic information. So that concludes our demonstration for the PODS instrument. I hope it's been enlightening and useful. Thank you.